good whatever, afternoon or evening or morning, everybody. And sorry again for the delay. It's always my fault, by the way. And also, thank you guys for being flexible. That because we were supposed to meet yesterday, and I think it was even a more auspicious date than today. But yeah, I had to postpone it. Yeah, it was called Samling Chisang yesterday, Universal Prayer Day, and we missed it. I'm sorry. Samling Chisang. And as you see, in most of, and also this partial lunar eclipse. So yeah, and yesterday was also a day for I think Hindu practitioners to remember the kindness of the Guru. So also this we missed. But today, in the Theravada tradition, the 3 years rain retreat, 3 months rain retreat starts. So maybe that is also something. Okay, and before we now start with the 3rd chapter of Bodhicharyavatarā, please, tune your mind, generate the motivation that we study and discuss and hopefully practice this text for the liberation of all sentient beings. And so please do that in your thoughts or your heart for half a minute. Okay. So, we are still planning to take the Bodhisattva vow, basically. And for that, in the 1st chapter, we generated enthusiasm to do so. And in the 2nd chapter, we prepared ourselves by different practices of the 7 branch practices. And so we already talked about how we can overcome our arrogance or pride by doing the prostrations. Actually, in Shantideva's text, it's a little bit different order, but anyway, first we overcome our stinginess or miserliness through practicing generosity like offering. And then we practice the prostrations, and by that we reduce our arrogance. And then, we took refuge in order to bring our mind on the right path. And then, we had a big. We had many verses on confession, where we, which helps us to purify negative deeds and also to avoid accumulating future negative deeds. And so, and then today we hopefully can finish the other four branches that are left, so that we complete the 7 branches, so that we are able to take the Bodhisattva vow. So we also need to overcome our jealousy, and for that we practice the 4th branch of rejoicing. And then afterwards, in order to overcome our ignorance, confusion, or wrong views, we request the Buddhas to teach. And also, the commentaries said different things. So the next one then afterwards is also to overcome wrong views or obstacle to one's long life or ignorance. So to remove these, we then practice the next branch, which is requesting the Buddhas or teachers to stay with us. And then in the 7th branch, we dedicate whatever merit we have accumulated already through these practices. We dedicate, to the perfect Buddhahood. Because of the previous practices, we accumulated so much merit, and this now we dedicate to attain Buddhahood for the sake of all beings. And it says this also eliminates doubts and uncertainty, because what result we want to achieve. So that is really clear, we sort of guarantee that our merit is protected, and also we really only wanted to bring about the result of Buddhahood. So here, through these practices we accumulate a lot of merit, it's also said, and wisdom also, which then enables us to really be the perfect vessel for the Bodhisattva vow. And so we start with this. Today I'm using Stephen Batchelor's translation, by the way, because for me it's the most easiest. And so when we start with rejoicing, as I said, it's the antidote to jealousy or envy, and then we rejoice in positive deeds. And there we really rejoice in whatever positive actions all the beings have done, you know. And here in verse 1, we first only, so there's also a, hierarchy of actions that we can do, you know. So the lowest positive action it's called that what is tending to happiness. So what just gives rise to better circumstances and to happiness, you know. Yeah, and so and this here we practice here with the first verse, where we rejoice in those we call it Shravakayana or Pratyeka Buddha. Sorry, where we rejoice in ordinary virtue, you know, that only brings about happiness and not liberation yet, you know. And so on the first three lines here, we rejoice in the merit that others do, you know, and that brings them happiness, also like upper realms, you know. So this is basically saying here the first three lines, you know, that this is the first three lines about the cause, you know, that we rejoice in whatever beings do, like positive actions, what they do, that is the cause for them to be liberated from lower realms. And then the result of this actions is, and we are also rejoicing in the result, which is then that these beings attain higher realms of rebirth and that they are free of the suffering of lower realms. So when we look into the Nyingma classification of 9 jhanas, this is actually even before, it is like the jhana of, or the worldly jhana of gods and humans, like that means beings want to be free from lower realms and just want happiness in higher realms. And sort of neglecting or ignoring that, or not knowing that also in higher realms in samsara, it is still samsara, so therefore it is still suffering. But still for us, even higher realm, of course, is something good that we also need, It is a good circumstance to practice the Dharma, because it's not so much suffering. Yeah, so we hear in the first verse, we rejoice in all these good things, even good thoughts, positive thoughts, or achievements that people can achieve out of these good thoughts, which are still samsaric, these achievements, but still we rejoice in the causes and results. And then the next verses we rejoice in the merit that is really liberating, that really brings us totally out of samsara. And so first we rejoice in what the Shravakayana practitioners do, because they also get liberated from samsara then. And here again we have cause, which are the first 2 lines, and then result, the second 2 lines of the Shravakayana practitioners. So now we are entering already the Buddhist motivation, of the Shravakayana people, or so the Shravakas or the Pratyeka Buddhas, who really want to get out of samsara. And so whatever they do on like positive actions, or whoever is doing with that motivation some positive actions, this is here the cause and then the result that we are rejoicing in. And then, the result then is, we can even put like this, the Arhat's awakening, where there's a lot of freedom and really a big, like not any obvious suffering anymore. Yes, so that is already a great state. Of course, from the Mahayana point of view, it's an incomplete enlightenment, but it's really a freedom of, for example, the suffering of birth, old age, sickness, and death. Birth. And then when we study Abhidharma, there are like many subcategories of the results of the Shravaka practitioners, but basically there are like 4. So the first result is called stream enterer, where you enter that stream of Shravakayana practices and you start having realizations. Yeah. And then the next step is called once returner, because the yogis who practice that, they will return once, have one more rebirth before they then attain arhathood. And then comes the third is the non-returners, so they don't have to come back again, but they will make it this life. And then the fourth and highest stage is arhathood, where they are really free from samsara, but only in nirvana. They're not Buddhas. So, and here, we rejoice in all the virtues that are accumulated by whoever who has that kind of intention in mind, to get the hell out of samsara, as Songtse Khyentse Rinpoche says. Yeah, so what I want to say is we don't necessarily need to categorize beings, like these are Shravaka and this is Bodhisattva people, but maybe we just categorize motivations, like I could have a very worldly motivation today and maybe a Shravaka motivation tomorrow and then a Bodhisattva motivation and then a Shravaka motivation again, so that can fluctuate, Because if we only see the categories of the yanas as different people out there, then we might become dogmatic or racist even or something. But it's just different greatnesses of motivation that we can have, or that we don't have. So we could understand it like that. So out of the 9 yanas of the Nyingma tradition, these are like the first 2, the Shravakayana and Pratyeka Buddhayana. And now we come to the last 7 motivations, basically, from Bodhisattva yana and Tantra yana, which is the greatest motivation. And this is explained in verse 3 and 4, and verse 3 is surprisingly small and short. So here we rejoice in all the actions and their result, that are in order to develop bodhicitta or that are already motivated by bodhicitta. So this motivation is even bigger, Bodhicitta is always aiming at Buddhahood. So we are not only happy to go out of samsara, but we really want to go out of samsara and nirvana. So, and here obviously the verse 3 is about the results of bodhicitta practice that we are rejoicing, the awakening of the Buddhas and also the bhumis of the Bodhisattvas. And then in verse 4 we are rejoicing in actions of bodhicitta that cause that result that was mentioned in verse 3. So in verse 3 we are rejoicing in the result of bodhicitta practice, which is Buddhahood and the bhumis, and in verse 4 we are more rejoicing in the bodhicitta practice itself, the cause. Buddhists are very proud is maybe the wrong word, but they are very happy that they have this idea of cause and result. Everything has a cause and everything has a result, and so likewise these verses always talk about the cause of what is the positive action, the cause, and then what is the result. And here the cause is the bodhicitta practice itself, and there we have bodhicitta of intention, that we want to attain Buddhahood for all sentient beings' sake, and then bodhicitta in action, where we practice the 6 paramitas. So here in this 4 verses we rejoice in all the positive actions based on all the different kind of motivations, and of course in the context of all the different 3 times. I mean, we rejoice in all these positive actions, like from the past, from the present, and from the future. We are rejoicing in all possible actions that will ever happen, that have ever happened. And I don't know, in case you practice Nandro, and then also it depends on the liturgy you are using, we are also rejoicing in the merit. I mean, there it is categorized sometimes like the merit in the context of the two truths, In Longchen Ningtik Nandro, for example. So, and there we rejoice in the merit that is, and that is of course emotionally stained, but still on the relative level we rejoice in that merit. But then on the absolute level we rejoice in the wisdom practice, So basically, the when we rejoice, according to the Nandro text, when we rejoice in the relative practices of the Bodhisattvas, for example, then this is related to their practices on the first two paths out of the five paths. And then this is the relative truth merit, and then the absolute truth merit or practice we're rejoicing in is then the wisdom that is practiced on the other paths, like path 3, 4, and 5, where they have the understanding of emptiness, therefore they practice wisdom. And I think that's it about rejoicing. Yes, so rejoicing is really like you don't even have to do much action yourself, but if you have a pure heart, a good heart, you can rejoice in whatever positive actions others do. So you could really sit in a whirlpool, or jacuzzi, and remember, or be aware of all the positive actions that people do, because there are so many things happening all the time, like, let's say in hospitals or wherever, Yes, and so therefore some Rinpoches say it's a lazy way to accumulate merit, or economical way, You don't need to pay anything, you just be aware of all these positive things, but then your job is then from your full heart, wholeheartedly, to rejoice in it, And sometimes even this practice could be better than maybe if you do like that really with a good heart, you rejoice. This might even create more merit sometimes than the original actor has accumulated by originally acting out that positive action. Because this original actor, he or she might have, the 8 worldly dharmas, in mind, like a lot of hope and fear, that he or she wants to impress others by doing something good, you want to impress others, or you want to, have a certain reputation or a certain position, or maybe you even do a positive action out of anger or something. So you have, or out of fear. So you might have strange agendas, Therefore, the original actor might not have such a pure heart, and therefore, if you rejoice with a total pure heart, your merit is even greater. Yeah, so that's why it is sort of easy, because you don't have to act or do much, but you really have to do it from your heart and really rejoice. So then it really is a great practice. And then comes the next branch practice here, which is like that we are requesting the Buddhas to teach the Dharma, the truth. And this is done in order to dispel here the ignorance, or the darkness of ignorance of sentient beings, And this is said to be very meritorious, and of course we should practice that often, that we ask the teachers to teach, and and historically we have good reasons to do so. Because if we have a Buddha in this world who keeps silent, we will have difficulties to understand his teachings, like we are sort of dependent that he or she is talking to us, and teaching in words, And yeah, Buddha had exactly that. That was his first impression, of the world. He understood Buddha Shakyamuni. After he got enlightened under the Bodhi tree, he understood that he has this nectar-like, uncompounded, concept-free Dharma, and nobody will understand it. But then, lucky for us, Brahma and Indra came along, and then they gave him offerings, like a white conch and a Dharma wheel, and they requested Buddha to teach, and then Buddha accepted, and he started teaching, and so that's why we are here now. Now we can study Buddhist teachings because of that request. So. And yeah, here therefore it's important, Also, when we study the precious human life, the qualities, the freedoms and advantages, there also one is that we are living where the Dharma is taught, So that is important, As I said, otherwise we don't get it, And therefore, we ask, like it's written here by Shantideva, we ask, so why do we want the Dharma? Because Shantideva is saying the Dharma is, let's say, like a wisdom fire, that is dispelling the darkness of ignorance. And so when we recite that, we should really visualize the Buddha, in front of us, and then really requesting him or her to teach, because he or she could be tired of teaching also, And Buddhas or teachers could be tired to teach because maybe students are not grateful, or students maybe are very discouraging, or disrespectful to the Dharma, So therefore, therefore sometimes teachers don't teach. So therefore, we need to request. And also it's also a good trick for the teachers or the Buddhas to wait until the teaching is requested, because it helps the person who requests to accumulate merit. And so in practice, I will answer your question soon here. In practice, we visualize, Buddhas of all 10 directions, in front of us. And we ourselves, we visualize ourselves emanating millions of bodies. Especially also in Nandro practice, we do like that, and then we visualize also emanations of Indra and Brahma, who originally asked Buddha Shakyamuni to teach. Also, our body is emanating millions of bodies in that form of Indra or Brahma, and then we supplicate and request the Buddhas of the 10 directions to teach us the Dharma. But the millions of emanations that we send out, they are in the form of Indra and Brahma. And then we asked to teach the Dharma, and there are different other analogies. I mean, the lamp is to dispel the darkness of ignorance, but also we have the Dharma drum, boom, boom, boom. You might have heard that too. Another example is we ask to blow the conch of Dharma. The sound of the conch is supposed to be the sound of Dharma. And or we have also this victorious flags, that we hoist, or raise, the victory banner and all of that. This is also symbolizing that, that we want the Dharma to flourish or to be taught. And then, of course, what Dharma we ask for, and then we sort of, what is it? We're trying to trigger the omniscience of the Buddha, to teach exactly that what is needed, and what is appropriate to the capacities of beings and the aspirations of beings. And basically in Nyingma tradition we would say, teach the 9 jhanas, And yes, the answer to Ginny is yes, and requesting the teacher or the Buddhas to teach is accumulating merit, yes. And then Yvonne is asking, how do we know if there are Buddhas in the world, and she said maybe the Dalai Lama is a Buddha, but how to know, if we want to request them to teach. Yes, and exactly how to know. Yeah, we can't, or I can't know. As long as I'm not a Buddha, I don't know who's a Buddha and who's not. Definitely not. But yeah, I'm very convinced that we have, and the teachings say, there's a Buddha on every atom, basically, or whatever. But they're like, if you don't want to go that far, but I'm sure that many human beings, that look like human beings are Buddhas, and some of them are recognized, like the Dalai Lama, and some not, And we don't have to, we can ask somebody specific to give teachings, but just in general, we can request all beings who are able to teach the truth that they do so, That is our wish. And then we have Organ Ricksen's question about rejoicing. So he's basically, he or she actually, I don't know, I think, is asking basically if we rejoice in somebody's action that is a good action, but done maybe with a negative motivation, if we still accumulate merit because we have a pure motivation. And it's he and she because it's husband and wife there. So yes, so them, they wonder apparently. So yes, the answer is yes. So if I do something with a negative motivation, but for example, I feed you guys and both of you, and I make you a dinner, but I only do it with a negative emotion because I want to brag about it and talk about it for the next week, And Olga, let's say Olga doesn't know my motivation, but only is seeing that I provide you dinner. Then, if she has a pure heart and is rejoicing in it, then she accumulates, the merit of a good action done with a pure motivation, even though my motivation was worse, And yes, I think I understand. Jon is asking, what if Olga knows about my bad motivation? The thing is, yes, I guess I know where your questions are coming from, because in Mahayana Buddhism we always say the motivation counts and determines if if the action was positive or negative. Yes, I can understand that. But I understand the commentaries here that at least Ritsen and Riani, this couple here, they at least they had a full stomach, and it was there was a positive effect in the action because they are satisfied and they only need to eat like in 10 hours again. So there is that kind of benefit is there, even though I had a bad motivation. So therefore, for my karma account, it is not really so positive, this action. But for Olga's karma account, if she has a pure heart and is really rejoicing in the action and the result of the action that the people are satisfied, then for her that is even a better bonus, like merit-wise. And yes, the question, what if Olga knows about Arne's motivation, Arne's bad motivation? And here, it really depends on Olga's reaction to that knowledge. So ideally, if she has a pure heart, and we were talking about that in the context of rejoicing, then she is rejoicing that our lovely couple gets a lovely dinner, and then maybe she's even compassionate with Arne and is wishing that Arne is learning to provide dinner selflessly. But if she's getting angry and impatient with me always giving the food in a very disrespectful way or with a lot of selfish agendas behind, so if Olga is getting angry observing that, then of course her anger is destroying a lot of karma, on her account. Yeah. But of course, that is very black and white explanation, and of course there are all these, 50 shades of grey or something in between. So everything is possible in Olga's mind, She can have a mixed motivation or 80% pure or 60% impure, Everything is possible. Right? And of course, my motivation might be also mixed, like because I'm not complete samsaric idiot, so therefore there is some part of my motivation is also pure, but I'm not a Buddha, so therefore big parts of my motivation are impure, Okay, and then the next one, verse 6, is here the branch number 6, where we request that Buddhas or teachers, bodhisattvas and so on, to stay long with us and not leave this world. Dimitri is asking, how can one measure the motivation in present? Yes, of course. Buddha can, yes, but I'm just, I just want to show that there's a spectrum, that it's not black and white, but it's mixed. So anyway, so we are lucky we have teachers and bodhisattvas and Buddhas around, but they might get ready to leave this world, because maybe we cling too much on permanence, and so therefore they want to teach us a lesson of impermanence, Yeah, or because people are just lazy, and so therefore by sort of threatening the audience to leave, the audience is getting more diligent, so that's why maybe some teachers or Buddhas are looking ready to leave the world, And here again, also we find that in the Nandro practice, where we visualize all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, teachers, gurus in all directions of all the 3 times in front of us, and then we request that they stay, and not enter nirvana also, that they're not entering the arhathood. That is also mentioned in some commentaries. So basically that they stay with us. Yeah. And of course, I forgot also in the previous request of asking for teachings, like here also in the request of asking for long life, basically, we also always give a little offering, could be totally symbolic or visualized, but we don't request things empty-handedly, And also I forgot to say, then in both cases, in both these requests, then we also visualize that after our request, the Buddhas and teachers, Bodhisattvas in front of us, they accept our request, and then they teach or they live long. And then because of that, in verse 6 it says, because they are staying and teaching even, then the world is not left in darkness, but ignorance is dispelled. And it is also said that because we are basically asking the teacher to live long, like we can recite long life prayers, this also helps us that we will have a long life, because the obstacles that could kill us too early could be purified or cleared away. Yeah, I think that is always good. To ask really for the long life of the teachers, because we need living examples. Even though they have taught, if they would leave, then that's a big loss for us. Because it's always good to have a living example. Who lives what they preach, or something like that. Yeah, for me it wouldn't work, if I would have, let's say, all the 84,000 teachings available, but no teacher, then yeah, I might be interested, but it will be, I guess I will not progress on the path so much, and I might end up too intellectual about it. And then, but this teaching again, then also that if the teacher is alive, she or he can give like small feedback here and there, and that is, so valuable, that of course is a teaching which we requested in the previous branch. Okay, and then we have the next 7, 8, 9, 10. The next 4 verses are about dedication, which is the last of the 7 branches. And then comes mind training, and then comes the Bodhisattva vow. So with 7, 8, 9, 10, we conclude the 7 branches, and the last branch is dedication. Sorry. And of course, the whole chapter number 10 is on dedication of this book, And at some point in the far future, we will go through it, and there are like 3 main points in this chapter 10, that we dedicate for the benefit of others, sort of. And then second, that we benefit so that we become Buddhas and perform the activities of a Buddha. And third, that the Dharma has a long life. So benefit of others, oneself Buddha, and Dharma has long life. And as I earlier said, this dedication dispels another problem that we have, which is this doubt or uncertainty, And so this is dispelled because by dedication we sort of seal our actions in the way that they bring the desired or wished outcome, result. Yeah. And here similar to the rejoicing thing, we remember all the different positive deeds, all the merits of all the sentient beings with different motivations in the 3 times, and we dedicate that. Yeah, and this we also connect with wisdom. We understand that so if I do something good if I give an object to Olga, that me, the object, and Olga, and the action, they are all not truly existent. But we have this wisdom that everything is empty by nature or illusory. So when we dedicate the merit, then we remember that it's an illusory merit that is accumulated by illusory beings, who did illusory positive actions. And of course, we also know that now that I am dedicating, I am also illusory, and the merit that I'm dedicating, or the dedication itself, everything is also illusory. And the example normally is if we dedicate something, then we make sure it is inexhaustible and reaches, and until the aim of dedication is reached, the merit that we dedicated is inexhaustible, and it stays as long as until the desired aim of dedication is reached, until Buddhahood is reached, basically. And the example usually is if we have like some water, the merit in our hands, it will go, we will lose it, it will go through the fingers, and then we are standing there empty-handed. But if we take that water in our hand and put it in the ocean, then it stays as long as the ocean exists, because this handful of water will mix, with the whole ocean somehow, and nobody is able to only remove this handful of water that I put in. So therefore, as long as the whole ocean exists, all the dedicated merit, as long this specific small merit exists. And there, of course, also when we recite dedication prayers, we again visualize Buddhas, teachers, Bodhisattvas in front of us, and we dedicate to all sentient beings, of course, and especially sometimes the bad ones also, we should not forget they need more merit than the good ones. And of course, we can feel free to dedicate to whatever aim, just happiness or arhathood, and it will help to achieve that aim. And therefore, it's best if we dedicate it to the Buddhahood of all sentient beings. So therefore we really dedicate, we give the merit a direction, and really include all sentient beings and wishing the very best, which is Buddhahood. That makes it limitless. And this dedication is really like a very like auspicious link. Then also, that we create. I'm coming back in 1 minute. Sorry. Sorry, I thought I heard somebody. So this dedication is really so important always to do after we have done something positive, because this we will study in chapter 6. Undedicated merit can be easily destroyed by anger. And there are also different dedication prayers that we often recite which are good because maybe we do something wrong with our dedication. So therefore, sometimes we recite prayers like, I will dedicate like Manjushri and Samantabhadra and so on. How they dedicated. Likewise, I will dedicate. So we just copy their style of great dedication. And 4 more minutes and 4 more verses, so that is manageable. Because I hope I explained everything about dedication already. hopefully generally explained, dedication is aimed at Buddhahood, but here we have like more specific dedications, Yeah, so here in verse 7, we basically dedicate that all the suffering in samsara is dispelled, by all sentient beings, from all sentient beings. And then verse 8 is that we are of medical help to whoever is sick, that's one specific dedication, like being a nurse, a doctor, the medicine, so that everybody is healed. And there are also Jakarta stories of Buddha, like who did that, when he was a king and there was a specific illness and people needed a specific fish to eat to get cured. So the king committed suicide basically to be reborn as that fish so that people could get cured, And in that story also luckily the fish then even talked to the people, and the fish said, "Here, eat me, I'm your king. This will cure you, and once you are cured, please practice virtue, and avoid non-virtue." And also to upgrade our perception, we can perceive, or we can learn to perceive whatever there is great medicine in the world, it doesn't matter from which tradition, that this is coming from the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Maybe it's an emanation or a blessing of them, And then verse 9 is also easy, a specific wish, that nobody is hungry and thirsty, but everybody gets the food and drink what they need, Because there will be kalpas, where there's not much to eat or drink, or we have the Preta realm, where they don't have any, or we have also in our realms we can see it. Many people are starving, still, So it's a necessary wish, to stop that suffering. And then in verse 10, basically he's praying that he becomes like an inexhaustible treasure, that a wish-fulfilling treasure. So that he either transforms into whatever beings need, or that he gives them whatever they need. Not necessarily want, but need, So this is basically these are the 7 branches. We made it. And they of course have to be practiced with bodhicitta in the beginning, the good motivation. And then in the middle, they have to be practiced by having the wisdom, by seeing that everything is illusory. And then in the end, we dedicate that, all that merit that came out of that. But of course, also knowing everything is illusory. Yeah, and by that, this is really like a never. This will create so much merit that is inexhaustible and will lead to enlightenment, whereas ordinary merit will not lead to enlightenment. And ordinary merit only gives like fruit once, but bodhicitta gives, or this kind of merit will give like again and again, inexhaustibly, will give fruit until enlightenment. And this is also said, last thing, here in verse number 12 of first chapter, that plantain trees or banana trees, I don't know, they give fruit once and then they die, but the bodhicitta tree, gives fruits forever.